So it's been a few days now since the Origin event showcase went up for Counterside, and there's been a lot of discussion over the past couple of days about whether or not these changes are good or bad for the game, and what does that spell. So I wanted to go over a couple of these changes because I don't think it's quite as bad as some people are making it out to be, and to be honest, most of these changes are positive for the game as a whole, or at least they look to be. So one of the things that was brought up are the chess stages. Now, a lot of people don't like chess battles. However, there are a couple in the very vocal minority that do like it and are not happy this has been removed. But a lot of people didn't like it. This is why it was removed from story stages. This is why it was removed from event stages. This is why it's just in one corner of the world, which is known as free contract, which a very small amount of people actually play. Now, all they're saying is they're changing these to regular squad battles. They're not saying they're removing free contract. Some people were saying that free contract was going to be removed with this, but nowhere in this section does it say that. All it says is that the way you're going to carry out these battles is changing. So the other thing they mention is that they will refund people who spent quartz to upgrade their slots for Battlefield. Now, you don't really need these, so I don't think this will really be affecting many people. For example, if I go over to my game just now, I don't think I've bought any. Yeah, I only have 5 squads, which is the minimum you get. So if you've bought any of these extra ones, they'll refund you the quartz when the event goes live on the 8th. So the next part that I want to talk about was just the limit fusion section. So this is probably not the best update, and I agree with this. So the whole reasoning for this is obviously leading on to what they're doing with the dupe system. Um, their reasoning is that the system they created originally was confusing, and they believe that the original design was a mistake. So, what this is really doing is meaning that people can't accidentally use duplicate units for fusing and then regret that afterwards when, for example, a rearm comes out. There'll be people that will be doing the same with Gayun when she comes out because I imagine people have used her dupes before. But this is why the age old saying is always to save every dupe SSR you have because you never know when XYZ will come out. So this change overall actually kind of hurts all players because it hurts current players who have used SSR units for upgrading to 110. And it also hurts new players because of the fact that they have not mentioned about R and N units. So what this means is people are going to have to use fusion cores for getting Claudia to 110, or getting Licorice to 110, stuff like that. And that's something that we've not had to do before because you just get a ton of the dupes from events, from banners, stuff like that. So I don't think that's the best change, but obviously it's the direction they want to move in with regards to the duplicate system. Now, the other part to focus on here is that they've said with the transmitting data of units. So SR and SSR employees no longer give unit data when they're transmitted. Now, that change is to do with, we go over here, is to decompose units essentially. So you go into lab, you go into data transmission room over here, and this is where you would add in any units you have. So what they're saying is that when you put in units now, you will no longer get this unit data on the right. You will still get rearm data, but you'll no longer get unit data. What this means is you want to transmit your units now, preferably if you can, which is annoying for some people, but you have until the 8th of February to do that. So what I suggest is checking units you don't want, or units that you know are terrible, that will never use duplicates for, and put them in just to get the unit data, just in case. Because right now, all that's going to happen is you're not going to get the unit data anymore, but you're going to get the same rearm data. So you're just losing out. There's no reason to save unless you don't have any units that you can actually use for transmitting. Moving on from the limit fusion section is the duplicate system, or the tactical updates they're calling it. So this is the other main controversial topic here, and you'll see this image of Hilde, and it will remind you probably of stuff like Genshin Impact, which has 6 constellations, Mind you, stuff like Arknights, which has extra stat bonuses when you get duplicates of units. This is essentially the same system. However, from looking at the stats here, it doesn't look like they're going in too big a direction. So if you get all of them, you'll be at 6% extra damage given, 6% less damage taken, and 6% cost refund on your deployment costs. Now, the numbers don't look that big, but if you had a full team of these, for example, you can see how the percentages might stack up. All we can really do is wait and see when the system is implemented, and aside from that, we can't really tell how big of an impact it will have. However, the devs did say that they're planning to not design content around having duplicates. They're saying they will not be essential. So we can only hope that they follow through with that design choice and that we don't get burned by it. But one thing they didn't mention is how this will affect PvP. So nowhere in this entire update have they said whether or not this will be disabled in Gauntlet. I imagine it won't be disabled because this will probably give quite a boost to players in PvP if it's not disabled. And obviously, you know, when you see a system like this, you know that they're wanting extra money. That is the whole reason why these systems exist. And that's the whole reason why gacha companies exist. Now, you can't really say whether this will be good or bad for the game. We just have to wait and see how it will turn out and how big of a difference it will actually make to units. Now, they do say it's currently under development, details may change, blah, blah, blah. So, who knows? Maybe they'll turn these numbers up or down depending on differences, depending on how players receive it, especially in the KR region, because they will be very vocal about this, because obviously this system relies on having duplicates of units, and the longer that the game's been out, the less duplicates of units you'll have because you've already fused them into getting your units to level 110, which is what a lot of the KR community will have done. Now, one of the last sections I want to touch on is just this XP change up here. Now, I think this is actually great for the game. However, there are some people that don't believe that and think it's the opposite. So, what they're saying here is just that the XP that you get normally from finishing a stage, it's going to drop books or appraisals instead. And these appraisals can be used on any units you want, which allows you to just basically focus on who you want rather than only the people who battle the stage. So the only issue with this really is the amount it'll cost to level up units. Because stage XP is essentially free XP. You're not paying for it, you're using Eternium, but you don't use any credits. Whereas using appraisals, you use credits, and quite a lot of it when you get to level 100, level 110, stuff like that. So they've said that they will change the amount of credits that are dropped as well, but we don't know the numbers of how much that will increase. If it's 10%, it's not really helpful. 20, 25%, it's getting there, it's maybe better, but all that we can do is wait and see how it turns out. Personally, I think this is the best approach because there are a lot of stages you will do, for example, high level challenges, Shadow Palace. Well, Shadow Palace doesn't count, but high level stages and other difficult contents, for example, like trimming, where you'll get XP, but you'll be using a max team already, so you're not exactly gaining anything from that. What this will allow you to do is it will drop appraisals anyway, which means over time you're getting more XP across the board throughout the entirety of the game, and it just allows you to focus which units you're going to use that XP on rather than that wasted experience going into nowhere. The only issue, like we mentioned, is the credits. So that's all we have to wait and see. How much will it cost? How much extra credits will they give us? How many appraisals will drop from the stages? We don't know the number, and that's that. But overall, I think this is great for the game. So the last part I wanted to talk about is just what should you do in the next week leading up to the Origin event. So one of your main priorities would be leveling up any units that you haven't leveled up yet and that you want to level up. You want to make use of the event stages, simulations, stuff like that, while you can, while this stage XP is still there and is still technically free without using any credits. The other main feature that you want to do is getting rid of dives, challenges, and Shadow Palace. So in the section here, you'll see that they're getting rid of dives. They're just giving you permits each day now. They're getting rid of challenge tickets. They're just letting you use Eternium. And Shadow Palace is the exact same up here. They're getting rid of entries and using Eternium. So we go over to the game. All you want to do is just hit your challenges over here. Make sure you've cleared every challenge. If you haven't cleared all the challenges, obviously do challenges, unless you're not able to do any of them. Then go to the challenge shop and just cash in whatever tickets you got to get the medals for them. The other two being Shadow Palace and Dives. So what you do is just go in here, go to your Shadow Palace, and then whatever palaces you can do, stack your operations, don't stack them, entirely up to you, but just make sure that you get rid of these coordinates before the 8th of February update comes around, because they will disappear from your inventory and you will not get compensation for the clears. So do Shadow Palace and then go to your Dives. Now they are getting rid of the coordinates, and that is something that you need to be aware of. So you can see I've not even done Dive 50 because I just can't be bothered. I don't care about E1 and I'm just lazy. So what you want to do before the 8th of February is click that, reset your coordinates, and then run through all the dives that you possibly can. Get as far as you can, whether it's a Dive 50, whether it's Dive 45, whatever. Get as far as you can before the update comes out so that you can get as many rewards as possible. And that is kind of everything. All in all, there are some questionable updates. There's obvious grievances with the duplicate system, with the limit fusion system. Overall, there are good parts and bad parts, and all we can really do is wait and see how it turns out when the update comes. See the difference in how these duplicates work, how big the stat boost really is, what is the appraisal difference that we get from stages, what's the credit difference that they're changing up, how will all that stuff work out. The UI changes look good, we'll just have to wait and see how they work, but it looks like it's streamlining everything, and it's just making it more simple overall for people to get into. Now, the update with the dimension trim and stuff like that is really good. I think that's going to make a lot of people happy, because using Eternium instead of using these entries means that you don't have to think about capping on XYZ tickets and all the different currencies that we currently have in the game. This just makes it easier overall.